leadership. There's an issue of the Inner Edge Quarterly coming out soon, so I would offer to you to register for that. And of course, you can also buy the book, The Inner Edge, The 10 Practices of Personal Leadership, which is the extended version of the presentation we've had today. And so again, I'm putting all of these up for you at joellekj.com/10 practices. Okay, we have a few minutes for questions, so let's see what questions have come in. This first question comes from Rick. Can you say more about maximizing your time? That sounds like the practice I need. Maybe you can share another shortcut. So thank you, Rick. You reminded me as I asked you to talk about this now. The first thing I can say is, yes, I can say a lot about maximizing your time. I really do believe that it is a resource that we are shortest on. I mean, we think in this economy we're short on money, but there's nothing that we're shorter on than time. And absolutely, you must get a handle on your time before you're able to be truly successful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to collect some of the articles and more shortcuts for you, and I'll put them in the form of an ebook, or it might be a website that I can send you, so you'll have more information about maximizing your time. You asked for another shortcut, I will give that to you, but we've already talked about one. There are at least a dozen other shortcuts, easy, simple ideas that you can use. They're not necessarily tips and tricks. It's a new way of thinking, a new mindset around time to help you really get more of the time that you need. So I'm going to put on the website, joellekj/10 practices, a place where you can check if you're interested in that information, and I'll just send it to you, and you can check it out. So that's the first part of the question. The second part is, can you tell me another shortcut? So let me give you another shortcut. This one is a challenge for some people. It's called power down. Power down means turn off the technology. Now, I know right now some of you just started to sweat, but the truth is our technology hurts us as much as it helps us. I'm always cautious about making technology the enemy, because I know when it comes to maximizing your time, technology helps a lot. I mean, look at all of us. Hundreds of people in the same place at the same time, all from the privacy of our offices. And technology makes that possible. So I don't want to suggest that technology is taking all of your time. I do want to say it's taking some of it. When you power down, you turn off the technology and you turn off the hum so that there are less distractions, especially when it's most important to concentrate. So there's research behind this. Research shows that actually you get a stress signal every time an email comes in. Think of how many emails come in for you in a day. That explains some of your stress. It also shows that it takes 25 minutes for you to get back to a task that you've left. So every time you interrupt something you're doing, to answer the phone or address someone who walked in the door, it takes you 25 minutes to get back that full concentration. So the ultimate goal is to get to a place where you can become fully focused on the things that matter most for a duration of time. That's how you maximize your time. So let me give you an example. Let's say I had a client this morning who was planning a meeting. Okay? Now this is how most people plan a meeting. They say to themselves, oh, okay, I have to run that meeting, and I know it's going to probably take me a while, I better get started. But the day gets busy and they don't get started, and so now it's the next day. So finally they clear some space and they start to plan the meeting, and then lo and behold, now they get swept into other things to do. They have a meeting, a client, an appointment, whatever. So the thing stays half done on their desk. And they think about it over the course of the week, but before they know it, it's time for the meeting, and they dash off something real quick and wing it when they go inside. That's not maximizing your time. If you turn off your technology and learn to focus for a while, this is what it looks like instead. You say to yourself, okay, I have to plan an important meeting. How long will this take me? It's going to take me an hour. So you find an hour on your calendar, you sit down, and you turn off the technology. If you need to, go someplace else, but get the privacy and the quiet and focus. Now when you sit down and you channel all the brilliance that is you into the planning of that meeting, guess what? It doesn't take you an hour. it takes you 15 minutes. And now you have 45 minutes left to do the other things that are important in your day. So you can't get that kind of concentration when you're constantly fragmented in your attention. So give yourself the opportunity to concentrate and sometimes, just sometimes, power down. So that's another shortcut for you. Let's see if we can make time for another question. This question is from Annie, a short one. It says, what was that website again for the Nevada State Bank? I believe she's probably talking about nevadasmallbusiness.com. nevadasmallbusiness.com. And that is the resource where there'll be an entire website with all of these webinars, white papers, articles, lots of resources for you. One thing you could do, going back to that practice of personal leadership, keep learning, is make it an appointment on your calendar. Maybe, every Friday morning you spend an hour looking at the resources. Watch one webinar. Or you might set a standard for yourself to watch one webinar a month. So think about these opportunities for you because it really sounds like an amazing resource, and it's going to be up and available June 1st. All right, Kim asks a question that we touched on a little bit, which is, this all seems a little self-indulgent to me. Isn't leadership supposed to be about service? So this is a question that I've spent a lot of time researching, talking about. I teach on the question. In the last decade, leadership has taken a turn in our learning to really see leaders as supporters. And as a leader, it's your job to help other people succeed. And that is an absolutely vital aspect of leadership. So I just want to distinguish that kind of leadership from personal leadership. They are compatible. You need to practice them both. So for example, what Kim is referring to is what I call organizational leadership. Leading an organization. There's also project leadership, team leadership. You might lead ideas. You might lead the way towards some, other future place with a vision that you have in mind in the form of a movement or some kind of change. All of those are valuable and valid aspects of leadership. In my opinion, they're also well-covered ground. When you go to Barnes & Noble, you see on the shelf rows and rows of books on leadership, but they're about leading other people. You will be more successful in leading other people if you also learn to lead yourself. So personal leadership, in the past I've actually used the word selfish. It is a little selfish. I mean, really, the word personal means about you. Leadership means coming first. When you practice personal leadership, you lead from the inside out. What you're doing is lending your personal power and brilliance and genius to the process of leadership that you can then bring to the world at large. So I encourage you in that work. Laura has another question on here that I think follows up on this very nicely, and that is, how do I get other people to practice personal leadership? Okay, so it's true. I mean, personal leadership is something that people tend to practice kind of behind closed doors. I said at the beginning of the presentation that it's very much the coaching process, and that tends to be a very individualized activity. What does it look like when you bring it to other people? My way of doing that is to talk to you, write the summary, write the book. So you get that peek behind the curtain about what leaders do to be successful. You can do the very same thing. Take that summary that's on the website, pass it around. It's written like an article. So people don't have to have attended the webinar to understand what we've talked about today. But if they could just read a few pages, they'll start to open their mind to what kinds of things they need to be doing personally to really be a leader. Same with the Inner Edge Quarterly. Every quarter, I have some organizations and corporations that use that for professional development in their own newsletter. They just take it and pass it around, or take the articles from it and pass it around, so that people are constantly getting a dose of reminder that if you intend to be your best and you want to contribute to your company, you need to be developing yourself. So look at those resources, find them, and use them however is most useful for you. I'm going to take one last quick question because I think that it's very important, and then we'll close for the day, and that is, who should be on my team? I would say that the concept of a team is critical and one that for some reason doesn't get enough play in organizations, to really think about the fact that the most successful people have a team of supporters behind them. We talked about your mastermind, we talked about your mentors, and we talked about an imaginary advisory board. I want to cut this a little different way in response to this question, which is to talk about the different kinds of people you want on these teams. I like to think about 3 different categories. One is advocates. Advocates are people who champion you. They believe in you, and they will try to make things happen for you. These are the people that open doors. So look for where are the powerful advocates in your life, and how can you access them more conscientiously to really benefit from that relationship and give more to it as well. Another category is experts. I think experts are important in your life. You look at who's already done what I want to do really, really well, and what can they tell me about how to do it myself. And the last category is inspirations. Advocates and experts are people that you can actually call. Your inspirations might not be. They might be extremely famous people. They might be people from history. But it's important for you to be looking for who inspires me. When I read about this person or listen to them talk, who really makes me feel like I can do this too? I have one client who runs a global department for one of the big pharmaceutical companies, and she just has a habit of reading biographies. That's what this looks like for her. She reads the biography and she applies it and asks herself, what does this do for me to help me be a better leader? So I offer that to you as one more way that you can build your team. So I think that this is a good place for us to start. So a final thought. What I really want you to know is that by practicing personal leadership, you are making it possible to be one of those truly exceptional individuals we talked about at the beginning of the day. It will give you more possibilities and more opportunities to really excel. So leadership won't just be a label. It will become a way of life. Thank you for having me today. I wish you well.